In the vast universe, there are mysteries that no one dares to reveal. There are powerful, ruthless, and dangerous forces lurking, ready to shatter the peace humanity has fought so hard to build. Yet, one big question remains unanswered. Can we stand strong against the challenges coming from the alien world? Will humanity be able to overcome the threat, protect its future, or will it have to accept destruction? If you want to know the answer, don't miss the upcoming story. Subscribe to the channel so you won't miss a single moment of this journey. Join me as we step into this mysterious and dangerous world and uncover the secrets never before revealed. The space exploration of the Galactic Council. In the vast and mysterious space of the Galactic Council, representatives from countless civilizations across the universe gathered for an emergency meeting. Floating platforms formed concentric circles, supporting delegates from distant planets, each being a unique form of life, some radiant with light, others gaseous and shapeless, and still others made of shifting crystalline tribes, capable of changing form in the blink of an eye. At the center of the hall, Delegate Zixa, a member of the Miri species with a soft body and glowing bioluminescence, stood up to open the meeting. With her translucent tentacles shimmering like jade, Zixa swiftly silenced the hall, commanding complete attention. In the solemn air, her voice rang clear and dignified, transmitted automatically into the languages of all present. Esteemed colleagues, we are here today for an unprecedented event in the history of the Galactic Council. Our long-range probes have discovered a species previously unknown to us humans. A wave of quiet murmurs spread through the hall as delegates from various civilizations whispered about this new discovery. While new species were often discovered, few had such profound implications for the entire universe. Zixa continued, her body's glow flickering with urgency. These beings, humans, have only recently achieved faster-than-light travel in the past 3 centuries. From primitive tools, they have built and colonized other worlds, achieving unprecedented technological advancements, not to mention their survival and adaptability to harsh environments. They are not only masters of their planet, but they are now expanding beyond their solar system. A holographic image appeared in the center of the hall, clearly showing a blue-green planet in a normal star system. It was Earth, the home of humanity. Zixa pointed to the image, further explaining, "This is their planet, Earth. 3 centuries ago, they were still fighting amongst themselves, using crude weapons and burning fossil fuels. But today, they have achieved the ability to travel across space, build massive space stations, transform barren planets into lush gardens, and design spacecraft that only advanced civilizations can create." Despite having experienced thousands of years of development, the representatives from various civilizations couldn't help but be amazed by humanity's rapid progress. However, this astonishment quickly turned into concern as Zixa continued. But that is not all. What concerns me most about humanity is their unpredictable nature. They are capable of adapting to nearly all harsh conditions, and more importantly, they have the ability to create technologies we have never imagined. Yet, this ability is not always used for peaceful purposes. Humans are a species with immense power to both create and destroy, achieving great feats while also causing catastrophic wars. Another hologram appeared, this time showing scenes of human wars, from world wars to armed conflicts between nations. The representatives from various civilizations were visibly uneasy as they watched the footage. Zixa continued, "Humans are not only capable of creating scientific wonders, they have also committed horrific atrocities throughout history. That is why we must tread carefully. If we are not cautious, humanity could become a force that changes the entire fabric of the universe in ways no one could predict." A delegate from the Silicon Consciousness species, an intelligent form with a translucent body, could not help but speak up in opposition. "Delegate Zixa, are we perhaps being overly concerned about such a young species? They are still struggling to control their own power. Are we overreacting?" Zixa glanced at the delegate and sighed. "I am not saying that they pose an immediate threat, but I cannot ignore the potential of their power. Therefore, I propose that all spacefaring civilizations be warned about humanity. We must approach them with caution and report any significant interactions immediately. A heavy silence fell over the hall as delegates pondered Zixa's words. Just then, a new representative from the outer reaches of the galaxy hurried into the meeting room. It was Kaiser, the delegate from the Zark species, a tough and metal-skinned being. Kaiser entered with a self-assured smile. "Apologies for my delay, Delegate Zixa. The Zark Empire is expanding its borders rapidly, and there is much to attend to," Kaiser said, a smug tone evident in his voice. Zixa smiled politely and invited Kaiser to join the discussion. "We just finished discussing humanity. Would you care to share your thoughts?" Kaiser raised an eyebrow, his metal body reflecting sharp light in the room. "Humanity? They are primitive creatures, with no means of resisting us. They cannot truly be a threat, can they?" Zixa smiled faintly, her bioluminescence flashing as though responding to Kaiser's tone. "We must be cautious. Humanity could be a force that changes the very balance of the universe in ways even we cannot imagine." The debate and reactions of civilizations. The waves of murmurs still lingered in the vast expanse of the Galactic Council chamber after Zixa concluded her speech. Delegates from various species began to discuss fervently, each holding different views about humanity, and Zixa's concerns sparked a heated debate. A delegate from the Athrani species, known for their creative powers and ability to manipulate natural energy, stood up and gestured towards a projected image showing humanity's first ventures into space. "Should we really be concerned about a species that has just left their planet? They are not yet mature enough to pose a real threat to the universe," he spoke with an air of arrogance. Another delegate from the Shazara species, known for their physical strength and strategic intellect, immediately countered. "I disagree. Humanity's development surpasses anything we could have imagined. They have achieved feats that some civilizations took millennia to accomplish. That's why we must be cautious. If they continue to develop at this rate, we could be in danger." Zixa stood amidst the tense debate, her bioluminescence flashing constantly, showing her deep concern. "Indeed, we cannot merely look at their present state and ignore their untapped potential. Humanity could alter the balance of this universe if left unchecked." The discussion went on for several hours without reaching a clear conclusion. Some civilizations agreed with Zixa's warning, acknowledging that humanity could be an unpredictable threat. Meanwhile, others, like the delegate from the Zark species, held firm to the belief that humans were still too young and immature to be worried about. The division in the council. As the debate seemed to be winding down, a voice called out from a corner of the hall. "Kaiser, the delegate from the Zark species, beings from the farthest reaches of the galaxy. I fail to understand why we should be concerned about this human species." Kaiser spoke confidently, his tone full of self-assurance. "We've controlled other species without issue. Do we really need to fear a species that's only just begun their cosmic journey?" Zixa didn't allow Kaiser's interruption to sway her. She turned to face the other delegates and spoke seriously. "I do not want us to regret this decision later. If humanity chooses to change the course of this universe, we will not be able to stop them if we are unprepared." The other delegates remained divided, some agreeing, others opposing. Finally, Zixa proposed a temporary yet responsible solution. "I propose that all spacefaring civilizations issue an official warning regarding the emergence of humanity. We will monitor and report any significant interactions with them to better understand their nature." Kaiser and the Zark's stubborn stance. Kaiser did not remain silent after Zixa's proposal. The delegate from the Zark species stood again, his gaze full of arrogance. "So, we will stop all research and development just because of a new species? I don't think we need to act hastily. Like other species, humanity will have to learn how to adapt to us, not the other way around." The delegates of the Miri species exchanged glances, their bioluminescent light flickering as a sign of their agreement with Zixa. With a calm voice, Zixa responded, "Humanity possesses a unique ability that we cannot fully comprehend. They have the power to change everything in this universe, no matter how prepared we think we are. What we need is to be ready, not caught off guard by surprises." Kaiser was clearly displeased with this warning. "Remember, Humanity is not the only species capable of altering the universe. The Zark Empire has already and will continue to grow stronger. We don't need the Council's permission to do that. However, Khazar's words failed to sway Zixa's decision. The meeting ultimately concluded without full consensus, but the warning about humanity was officially issued. The shadow of an empire. After the tense debate in the Galactic Council, representatives from various civilizations returned to their planets, each with different thoughts and emotions about humanity. Although there were some warnings issued, no one truly understood the nature of this species. While various powers continued to discuss the potential threat humanity might pose, a powerful and arrogant empire decided to act before things could escalate further. On the home planet of the Zark Empire, where their leader, Emperor Zaran, sat in a top-secret operations room, decisions were being made at a rapid pace. Known for their ruthlessness and superior military strength, the Zark Empire had planned an invasion of humanity's planet. After receiving reports of humanity's astonishing progress, they decided that they were a threat that could not be ignored, and immediate action was necessary to halt their development. In the dim operations room, representatives of the Zark Empire and Emperor Zaran were discussing the invasion strategy. The screen displayed detailed information about the solar system where humanity resided, the Earth system. Zark warships were deployed, and the official attack plan was approved. "They will know who we are," Emperor Zaran said in a low, gruff voice, his eyes gleaming with brutal intent. "It's time to teach humanity a lesson. We will be the rulers, and they will learn their place in this universe." Humanity's preparation. Meanwhile, on the planet New Eden, humanity's new colony, life continued peacefully, much like any other day. Farmers tended to hydroponic gardens, engineers checked environmental and ecological systems, and scientists studied extraterrestrial life. Everything seemed to be stable. Despite numerous challenges from the new environment, humanity had been thriving, creating wonders from barren lands. Dr. Elena Sato, a biologist at New Eden's research facility, sat in her laboratory, intently examining samples from extraterrestrial organisms. She was unaware that a great threat was rapidly approaching her planet. New Eden's space surveillance system suddenly detected an unusual object moving swiftly through space. The alert signal was quickly transmitted to senior commanders. "It's not a meteor shower, nor an ordinary asteroid," one of the researchers said, his voice urgent as he observed the screen. "It's a fleet of warships." Immediately, New Eden's leaders convened an emergency meeting. All colony defense systems were activated, but initial predictions showed that they wouldn't be able to handle a large-scale attack. The invasion. At this point, the Zark Empire's invasion was inevitable. The massive Zark warship fleet, armed with powerful weaponry, plunged directly into the Earth's solar system. The Zark ships were equipped with weapons of mass destruction capable of disabling all of humanity's defense systems in the blink of an eye. On the surface, while the residents of New Eden remained unaware of the situation, the emergency notification system blared. Everyone was immediately ordered to evacuate vulnerable areas and seek refuge in safe shelters. New Eden's military forces, though still young, had been trained for emergencies like this. Colonel Jared Wallace, the commander of New Eden's defense forces, ordered all available forces to protect the colony. "We cannot let them easily take this planet," he commanded, his voice filled with determination. "Everyone, be ready to fight." But when the war began, the reality was much harsher than humanity had imagined. Despite their creativity and courage, they only had a small defense force with a few warships and incomplete weapon systems. The first attack. Tense moments. As the Zark warships entered New Eden's space, they began attacking key infrastructure, space stations, colony defense systems, and residential areas. The bombardment from space caused New Eden's sky to explode with bright red flashes. Humanity's defense systems fought back, but with the superior technology of the Zark, it all seemed futile. On the ground, chaos erupted. Humanity's battle vehicles raced, trying to buy some survival time, but their technological and military inferiority to the invaders only worsened the situation. Loud explosions filled the air as Zark's attacks continued to wreak havoc. In the defense command room, Wallace couldn't help but feel the weight of the situation. "We won't last much longer if this continues," he said, his voice hoarse. "We need help, and we need it sooner rather than later." Just then, an emergency message from Earth came through. "We are on our way, New Eden. Hold strong. We will arrive in time." The brutal attack. The attacks from the Zark Empire plunged the planet New Eden into chaos. Despite their efforts to resist, humanity could not hold up against the superior military power of the invaders. Space bases, energy systems, and crucial residential areas were destroyed in fierce aerial battles in the sky. The defense forces of New Eden, though courageous and resilient, lacked the manpower and technology to face the mighty Zark army. As the Zark warships advanced deeper into the planet's space, Colonel Jared Wallace commanded the last remaining fighter jets of New Eden, desperately trying to protect the last civilian shelters. "We will not give up!" Wallace yelled into his radio, his hands gripping the controls tightly. "We must hold on, even if there is just a little hope left." One by one, New Eden's fighter jets were shot down in the intense battle. The Zark warships, although being attacked, cut through humanity's defenses like sharp knives. The aerial combat became devastating as humanity's forces were continuously defeated. This was a war they could not win with sheer force. Meanwhile, the attacks on New Eden space stations caused complete paralysis in the communication and defense systems. Automatic defense systems were shut down, and the space around the planet was shrouded in smoke and debris from the destroyed warships. Determined resistance. However, in the dark of war, a flicker of hope remained. New Eden's military forces, although weakened, continued to fight with unwavering resolve. Ordinary civilians, not soldiers, also joined the battle. Engineers, farmers, and scientists rose up, doing everything they could to protect their families and homeland. Dr. Elena Sato, one of the prominent scientists on New Eden, was not sitting idle. When the underground shelters of the colony became overcrowded and unsafe, she and her colleagues took the initiative to organize small resistance groups, attempting to restore part of the defense systems, even though victory seemed impossible. "We cannot lose New Eden. We cannot let them win," Elena said to a group of engineers. "We will not surrender. We will repair what's left and keep our hope alive." Her and her team's efforts were not in vain. In the darkest days, they succeeded in rebuilding a portion of the space defense systems. Though weak, New Eden's small warships managed to retaliate fiercely, slowing down the invading forces. Some fighter jets even shot down a few of Zark's ships, though the losses were high. Rescue from Earth. But just when everything seemed on the verge of despair, an unexpected hope appeared from Earth. The war had gone on for days, and despite a few small victories, New Eden was still on the brink of collapse. However, when everyone was at their lowest, a rescue signal from Earth finally arrived. New Eden's communication system was restored thanks to the efforts of the scientists and engineers. An emergency call was transmitted to New Eden, and the voice of President Adamon Kruma, the leader of Earth, echoed across the space with the strength and determination of all humankind. "New Eden, we've received your distress signal. Our battle forces are being deployed. Hold firm. Humanity will not leave anyone behind." However, Earth's help didn't come immediately. Although Earth had dispatched warships and prepared military forces, their planet was tens of light years away from New Eden. This meant they faced a long and arduous journey to reach the colony, and the battle on New Eden would continue. The decisive attack. With newfound hope, the people of New Eden rallied together, determined to fight until the end. Wallace and the remaining soldiers of New Eden decided to launch a bold counterattack, even though the chances of success were slim. But this was their last chance, and they could not let it slip away. A fierce battle raged as the Zark warships continued their invasion. New Eden's fighter jets plunged into the enemy fleet, piercing through massive spacecraft with all the strength they had left. In this fight, humanity's fighting spirit became the most important factor. Finally, the battle reached its conclusion when an unexpected attack from Earth descended into the New Eden solar system. Earth's warships appeared just in time, bringing with them a powerful army and advanced technology. They arrived at the perfect moment, helping the people of New Eden combat the Zark invaders. Victory for humankind. As Earth's warships destroyed most of the Zark forces, President Krumah spoke with pride. "We fought and we won. But this victory is not just for New Eden. It's for all of humanity. This is proof that when we unite, nothing can stop us." Although the war had ended, for New Eden and the survivors, the cost of this victory was not small. The city of Hope's Landing had been completely destroyed, and residential areas were devastated. However, above all, humanity had proven that their strength lay not only in their technology but also in their resilience and unyielding will. Lessons from the war. Despite the victory, humanity realized that the war had taught them many valuable lessons. They needed to continue developing technology, build a strong foundation for peace, and face the new challenges that the vast universe would present. A new future was opening up, but the road ahead would never be easy. Humanity and the confrontation with a new world. After the defeat of the Zark Empire, humanity stood strong. But this victory was not the end. It marked the beginning of a new era full of challenges. The survivors on New Eden had witnessed pain and loss, but they also understood that their resilience had created an invaluable opportunity to prove that humanity could not only survive in the universe, but also contribute to its collective development. On Earth, the attention of all humankind was now focused not just on peaceful living, but on how they would play a role in the vast cosmic community. While military victory had asserted their strength, humanity realized that to survive and thrive in this world, they needed to learn how to maintain peace, engage in dialogue, and cooperate with other civilizations. President Ataman Krumah sat in the government's conference room, the light from the display screens reflecting off his face. An important meeting had been convened right after the victory to discuss the next steps for humanity. Representatives from nations on Earth, along with experts, military leaders, and top scientists, were all present at the meeting. "This victory is not the end," President Krumah spoke, his voice filled with determination. "We fought to protect New Eden, but now it's time for us to build a real peace with other civilizations. We've proven our strength in war, but now we must show that we deserve to be accepted by the galactic community." A military leader, General Maria Hernandez, stood up and looked at the delegates. "We've won, but let's remember that this war wasn't just ours. Other civilizations are watching. We must send a clear message that we are ready for a future of peace and cooperation, not just domination." Difficult decisions. Maria's words made the atmosphere in the room tense. Everyone understood that they were not only facing a military battle, but also a diplomatic and political war full of risks. While humanity had won the war, they had yet to secure a solid place in the vast galactic community. Zarin, the emperor of the Zark Empire, though defeated, still held influence. Other empires might look at humanity with suspicion. Ancient civilizations would not easily accept a newly risen species, and this could create future conflicts. "We will face many challenges in joining the Galactic Council." Zixa, the representative from the Miri species, spoke at the meeting. "They will not easily accept us. We need to prove that we are not only strong militarily, but also capable of dialogue and building a peaceful future." General Hernandez nodded, agreeing with Zixa's point. "We need to start by building a strong diplomatic team, one that can represent humanity and protect our interests at the galactic negotiation tables." President Krumah looked at the delegates, his gaze full of resolve. "We will not be enemies of anyone, but we will also not allow anyone to look down on us. Every negotiation will begin from an equal footing, and we will prove that humanity can coexist with other civilizations." The transformation of New Eden. While the political discussions took place on Earth, New Eden began recovering from the war. Although humanity's civilization had been devastated, thanks to the strength of engineers, scientists, and resilient civilians, New Eden was quickly rebuilt. Dr. Alina Sato, who had fought in the fierce battle, now held an important position in the reconstruction efforts. Along with her team, she made advancements in technology, developing stronger defense systems and establishing research facilities to improve the lives of the planet's inhabitants. "We must learn from our mistakes," Alina said during a meeting with engineers. "We not only need to develop military power, but we also need to grow in other areas such as science, diplomacy, and culture to integrate with the galactic community." These advancements helped New Eden become a symbol of recovery and progress, a model for the future humanity could build after the suffering of war. The planet was now not just a shelter, but also a center for the development of civilization, science, and cooperation among different civilizations. Self-reliance and independence. Facing the difficult negotiations ahead, humanity recognized that the path to peace would not be easy. However, they knew they had achieved something that few civilizations could be proud of. They had defeated a powerful empire and protected themselves. President Krumah continued speaking in the meeting. "We will not be passive in building peace. We will actively engage in negotiations, but we will not allow anyone to impose on us. We must maintain our standing." A new beginning. After the victory, humanity began preparing for diplomatic negotiations with other civilizations in the galaxy. Diplomatic visits, cooperation agreements, and discussions on trade and peace would be key steps in humanity's next journey. Although the road ahead was filled with challenges, humanity had learned an important lesson. In this universe, survival depends not only on military strength, but also on the ability to engage in dialogue and integration. And humanity, after the wars and trials, was ready for a new future, one that would not only exist in the universe, but also be a part of the greater galactic community. Humanity becomes a force for peace. With their resounding victory over the Zark Empire, humanity opened a new door for their future in the universe. The survivors on New Eden, the warriors who fought with unwavering determination, were no longer just protectors. They began changing the perception of humanity in the eyes of other civilizations. New Eden slowly became a symbol of recovery, not only in military terms but also in spirit and cooperation. As warships from Earth and the allied planets entered New Eden's solar system, the atmosphere in the colony began to change. People began to realize that humanity could not only fight, but also build and create lasting values, despite all the hardships and challenges they had faced. "We've proven that we can fight and win," President Krumah said in a meeting between leaders from Earth and New Eden. "But now, we must prove that we can live in peace and engage in dialogue. Peace is not just the result of victory, but of cooperation and building the future." Meanwhile, representatives from the Galactic Council, though still hesitant to accept such a new species as humanity, could not deny their strength and resilience. After the war, many civilizations within the Council began to see humanity not only as a species to control, but as a potential partner in galactic negotiations. Acceptance and new challenges. At the Galactic Council, where representatives from thousands of planets gathered, Zixa, the delegate from the Miri species, stood up with an important decision. "We have witnessed humanity defeat a great empire." She spoke slowly but with weight. "We can no longer see them as a primitive species. They have proven that they are not only a force to be feared, but also one to be respected." These words were not an absolute consensus, but they marked the beginning of a change. The delegate from the Shazara species, a strong warrior race, also agreed, though he emphasized, "We must continue to monitor humanity in the coming years. While they have the potential to develop, they still pose a threat if not properly guided." The discussions at the council stretched for weeks, with different civilizations debating humanity's place in the galactic community. Although skepticism remained, an agreement was eventually reached. Humanity would be granted a seat in the Galactic Council, but under the condition that they prove their ability to cooperate long-term, especially in building peace treaties and resolving conflicts. The key to the future: peace and cooperation. On Earth, life slowly returned to normal. However, despite the victory, President Krumah remained vigilant about the challenges ahead. "We've won the war, he said in an important speech. But we cannot stop here. Humanity must learn how to live in peace and become part of the galactic community. Peace is not just the absence of conflict, but the willingness to cooperate for a common future. At the same time, on New Eden, Dr. Alina Sato and other scientists began deeper research into extraterrestrial civilizations. She didn't just want to understand their technology, but also find ways to foster mutual development so that humanity could contribute to the greater galactic civilization instead of merely receiving help. Discussions and collaborations began to flourish as humanity, though just beginning their journey into the universe, strove to surpass their limits, from studying other civilizations to developing new technologies aimed at serving the collective peace, shifting from victory to construction. For the people of New Eden, the war had ended, but life would never return to what it was before. They knew they could no longer just survive. They had to build a better future for the generations to come. The destroyed cities were rebuilt, scientific research facilities were expanded, and New Eden gradually became a center of academic and diplomatic engagement between civilizations. Elena, in her role as a leading researcher, participated in conferences between various civilizations to share scientific advances and seek support from more advanced civilizations. "This is a critical moment," she said at an international scientific conference. "We've learned that strength doesn't just come from fighting, but from the ability to understand and cooperate. We must use our intellect and creativity to build a thriving galactic community." With efforts focused on research and collaboration, New Eden became a symbol of renewal and peace in the universe. Specific actions, such as establishing joint research centers, developing sustainable energy technologies, and other scientific initiatives, helped them become one of the most respected civilizations in the Galactic Alliance. A new beginning for humanity. As recognition from other civilizations became more apparent, humanity realized that their victory in the war was not the end, but rather a significant milestone on a long and challenging journey ahead. They knew they not only needed to learn how to integrate with other civilizations, but also maintain peace in this vast universe. President Nkrumah, in a concluding speech, said, "Humanity has overcome a great challenge, but the road ahead is long. We do not fight just to survive, but to prove that humanity can be a force for building peace, cooperation, and innovation in the universe." These words echoed as a reminder that, even though victory had been achieved, humanity could not rest on its laurels. They needed to continue building and proving their worth in the galactic community, thus creating a peaceful and sustainable future for all civilizations. Post-war situation. Although the war had ended, the wounds of the conflict between humanity and the Zark Empire were still fresh. New Eden, the planet that had endured the brutal war, was still in the process of recovering from the devastation left in the wake of the conflict. Once great structures, once a source of pride for humanity, now lay in ruins. Residential areas, commercial buildings, and essential infrastructure had been destroyed or severely damaged. However, amidst this desolation, a new spirit was emerging. The people of New Eden, not just warriors but also builders, understood that to survive and prosper, they had to face reality and overcome the hardships ahead. And this wasn't just about recovering from war, it was about building a peaceful future. Exploring opportunities for peace. At the Galactic Council, humanity was no longer seen as a primitive species, and they had made significant strides in building relationships with other civilizations. One of the most important decisions was granting humanity a seat in the Council, but with the condition that they must demonstrate their ability to cooperate and contribute to galactic peace initiatives. Zixa, the delegate of the Miri species, observed the important negotiations between humanity and other civilizations in the universe. She saw that humanity, despite being new to the galactic community, had shown a marked shift in perspective and actions. What we have witnessed from humanity during this war is their resilience and determination. But to move forward, they must learn how to build lasting peace, Zixa said in a council meeting. A representative from the Zark species, despite being a former enemy, also acknowledged the change in humanity's actions. Humanity has defeated a mighty empire, but it is the change in their actions after the war that is truly commendable. We can cooperate, said the Zark delegate. However, in these negotiations, conflicts still arose. Some civilizations were reluctant to accept humanity's progress, particularly when it came to discussions of power, resources, and the sharing of technology. Negotiations became tense as many species voiced concerns about the potential future power of humanity. Building a peaceful alliance. President Nkrumah, who had led humanity through war and peace, knew that humanity's future did not rest solely on military victory, but on the ability to build sustainable peace. He understood that to maintain their position in the galactic community, humanity had to face challenges not just in combat but in building trust and cooperation. "We have proven that we can fight and win," President Nkrumah said in a key Galactic Council meeting. "But now, we need to prove that we can maintain peace and contribute to the collective prosperity. This is the moment we must engage in trade agreements, share technology, and cooperate in galactic projects." One of the major initiatives humanity proposed was to join joint research and technology development programs, not only for humanity's benefit, but for the benefit of all civilizations. This would not only help build peace, but also create opportunities for humanity to learn and improve their own technologies. "We will not just receive help," Nkrumah said in the meeting. "We will contribute the best of what we have. Humanity's development is not just for us, but for all the civilizations of the universe." The reality of facing the truth. However, despite the major strides, humanity realized that joining the galactic community was not easy. Political, economic, and cultural difficulties still existed. Negotiations over resources, power, and other complex issues were ongoing. Some civilizations viewed humanity with suspicion, while others felt uneasy about the rapid changes in humanity's development. Even so, with cautious steps forward, humanity began to build a lasting peace not just through war, but through peaceful cooperation, sharing knowledge and technology. But even as peace began to take shape, everyone knew that the truth could change in the blink of an eye. Alien forces still existed, and humanity would continue to face challenges ahead. The future awaits. But despite the challenges, one thing was undeniable: humanity stood at the threshold of proving that they were not only a species of warriors, but also builders and protectors of peace. New Eden was no longer just a refuge. It had become a symbol of resilience, indomitable spirit, and faith in a better future. In the skies of New Eden, warships from various civilizations were entering the planet, bringing with them peace treaties, opportunities for cooperation, and new hopes for the future. Humanity's journey was far from over. It had just begun. They were continuing to write their story in a universe full of challenges, but also full of hope.